work I have been doing, associated with thesis for past 3 years, and just looking out for more marketing related work. So that's
Oh,
why I was more interested in this session.
yeah, yeah. Uh, if anyone here is looking for a marketer, yeah, definitely reach out to Snigdha, right? Like, yeah.
I will suggest reach out to Ishaan.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. I'll we will definitely put that in the notes or something, right? So, hey, if anyone else wants to jump in, maybe just introduce yourself, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we'll get right into the meat of the session. Anyone? Okay, never mind. Let me just start, right? I'll just start by introducing ourselves. So we are like, so I'm the founder of Spear Growth, right? And a few of my team members are also there on the call, Sarjit, ģᴏsᴜᴜ, Divya. So we are a performance marketing agency for B2B SaaS companies. And it's going to be a year of us being in the market in 7 days. So yeah, it's been a interesting year, and we've also worked with some pretty good companies in that time, right? Two of them are unicorns now, uh, and we worked with some really good other companies, and all of them being B2B SaaS, and we've managed performance marketing for a lot of them. While doing so, there's so performance marketing obviously is a blanket term for running ads, but there's a lot of stuff you can do in it, right? Like how much should you spend on which channel, or how much should you spend on your tool set versus ad spend, or like what to report on. Like we've tried a lot of things, even with different clients. We've seen what works in different industries. Before that also, a lot of us have most of us have experience working in performance marketing with different firms, different companies. So what we're going to talk about in this session, right, is first about the thought process of how we decide what to do for every account, and we'll not hold anything back. If you have any questions, unless it's some information about our clients which we cannot share, we'll be happy to let you know. Apart from that, yeah. So one, we'll talk about how we think about what to pick, when to do, and at the end, we'll also show you the one sort of funnel. I think Akarshan is going to walk you through one funnel that works
Yep.
almost all the time. Right? So that one funnel, maybe you might have to tweak it a little bit, but it works for almost every B2B SaaS company. And obviously, when I say something like this, it's going to be very high level, but it works. So we'll also walk you through that. Um, Over the session, please just stop me and ask questions. I love being interrupted, honestly. And yeah, if you
For sure,
can,
sir.
yeah, please. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Divya will interrupt me for you if you don't like doing that. Otherwise, you can just directly ask me or Akarshan any questions. Please do that. Right? So I'll quickly get into how we start, or like how we think about performance marketing. So the first thing, and this is something I learned from uh, a member at GrowthX. I'm not sure if you know about that community, right? So I learned this from someone there, or in one of the sessions where they were talking about which game are you playing, right? That was the first thing that we have also adopted, which we also look at, which basically means, are you in the game of expanding the market, or are you in the game of capturing the market? And this is brilliant because the way you approach these two things are very different. Most companies lean heavily towards one or the other, and the ones that don't struggle a lot trying to figure out what they are trying to do. Do you want any examples on what this looks like? Let's say a CRM software, right? A CRM software, probably they would have to capture the market, right? You're not going to go to a company that isn't you does not know what a CRM is. You'll have to educate them what a CRM is, and then bring them into the CRM ecosystem. And since you're the person who've educated them, you're the one they'll buy from, most probably, right? That's not the game, or it's very unlikely that someone selling a CRM software is going to be doing that. Versus, let's say, one of our clients, right? They sell or they provide login, let's say API hosting service, right? And a lot of companies may have self-hosted APIs. So then they would have to reach out to their audience, explain to them that, hey, you don't need to do it yourself. You can let us do it. And all they need to find is they need to find companies who are large enough in their ICP, who have currently self-hosted it, and then they're going to go and explain what that means. Right? Is that the first thing sort of clear?
Right.
All right. So the first thing that we look at is which game are you playing, right? The next thing that we usually look at is how much demand, like how much is the existing demand. Again, very simple concept, but really useful. For example, if there are enough people in the industry already looking for what you sell, all you need to do is you need to show up. You need to tell them that, hey, I am also selling that. And you need to maybe differentiate yourself from the competitors. You don't even have to explain to them what that means. For example, we are a marketing agency. If we had to sell to, let's say, uh, Chirayu here runs a B2B SaaS company, right? Now, if I were to pitch to Chirayu, I would never say that, hey, we are a B2B or we are a marketing agency. You should work with a marketing agency, because we don't have to sell the concept of marketing agencies to anyone. All we have to tell them is, okay, what do we do? What do we do differently? How do we approach things? Who have we worked with, right? We have to talk more about us versus others, versus sell someone on the concept of an agency, right? I hope that makes sense, right? And no matter what, I've never seen an exception to this. If there is demand and you're capturing it, that is less expensive than generating demand. So till you can expand your demand capture efforts, do it. We have successfully, or we very, very profitably expanded our demand capture efforts. There are a couple of accounts that we're running right now where we're spending 100, maybe more, $100,000, $200,000 a month, where all we are doing is capturing demand that exists. For example, let's say that, and maybe Akarshan will talk about what that looks like or what are different ways to capture it. But it can look as simple as, again, taking the example of a CRM. If someone is searching for CRM management software or CRM software, we run Google ads and we show up there, say that, hey, we are a CRM management. We are a CRM. That's it. You don't have to do anything very creative there. Just get there and just tell them what they want to hear, basically, right? That works extremely well. So now, in both the cases, in the first one, right, specifically when you're capturing demand, the real game or the real skills required is to make sure you're not wasting any money. You'll have to optimize everything. Like, when are you showing the ads? Exactly, you have to, as well as you can target your audience, that's how well your ads will perform. Versus in demand generation, targeting is very difficult. Like, yes, you have to target well, but the real, like, sort of game is like the real game that is played, right, is usually how well can you convince someone to convert it, or to understand that, hey, we exist and we should probably be using something like this, right? Your copy, your message, your positioning is what really moves the needle in demand generation. Those are like the two things we've seen. Looking at the question, B2B contracts are usually long, and if there are quite some competition already in the market, what should our approach be? So again, so I think yesterday I was speaking to a B2B buyer, right? And their problem was that, hey, we're speaking with two companies. We've spoken with the sales rep of those two companies. Both of them say the exact same thing on their website using different words, and their sales reps say the same thing about the other company on the sales call. The only thing different is the price. And we don't really care too much about that, because that should not be how we are deciding which software vendor to go about. Right? So one very, very interesting concept, and I'm stealing this from Pete Plaza, if you know him. He's the founder of CXL Winter. So uh, 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 one thing that he says is that you need to differentiate. You need to almost forcibly differentiate yourself. Uh, right? So you have to make sure you have a very strong differentiation in the market.
Just
For
to build up on that, Ishaan, I had a question.
Yep.
Yeah. So in that particular case, for example, there are already industry leaders in the market who have captured a pretty big share, and with our product being a very niche product in the industry, we are still yet to prove ourselves. So building that credibility does take time. Now, when I enter this industry, if I have to create some wiggle room for myself, so what do you feel the approach should be here?
Got it. So when you start up, don't run ads. I'll start there, right? So I'm not sure exactly where you are in your journey, right? But usually, even when selling B2, whether it's services or software, start with like the again. I'm giving very generic advice.
It's SaaS. It's SaaS. It's SaaS, and we do not do ads. It's a very early age startup.
Got it. Do you have any customer at the moment?
We do have. So the company has been there for around 6 years, but with COVID and the new normal, everything went digital, right? So that's when the business actually started booming. I'll not say booming, I'll just say it took off. So we have mid-sized clients trying for enterprise, and by enterprise I mean 2 million and up revenue. So we are in the e-commerce space, basically.
Okay. So 2 million up is still okay. It may not be in the enterprise segment for a lot of companies, right? So okay. So usually what we have seen, right, is companies do very well with, if it's a sales-led organization and if you're trying to move to marketing, that would be to a marketing-led org, right? That's going to be a very separate approach, because I'm assuming that's how. Just in the interest of time, I'll make a few assumptions and answer this. So if it's a sales-led organization till now and you're moving to a marketing-led organization, you probably would want to start with partnerships or something like that. If you already have strong partnerships, you've already looked at some things, then you would want to, what we've seen work is usually just capture or look at a smaller place and capture that through, again, like either just one-on-one reaching out to companies works really well. So again, the simplest way to think about is one-on-one, then one-on-one to many, which basically is partnerships, collaborations and stuff, and then look at longer, like anything that is already working.
If it's the other way around, like it's a marketing-led org. So marketing team has been established first. We don't have a very defined sales team as of yet.
Okay? I think it'll be better to catch up after the call for this.
Oh, sure, I understand. Perfect.
I really want to get to the funnel as well.
Right? Good. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. We'll definitely get there for sure. Right. Got it. So getting back to just quickly, and please keep asking questions. I really appreciate that, by the way. Yeah, just quickly getting back to what I was saying, right? So the first step was, which game are you playing? Second one is, look at how much demand exists already in the market. If there is, and you have decided to run ads, try and capture the demand as much as possible, right? The third thing that you need to understand is the software buying journey, right? And I'm not sure if some of this might be helpful, right? But when you're looking at the software buying journey, it's very human, right? And if you try to buy a software, you'll probably follow very similar steps to what the larger people or what your people in your ICP are doing, but still trying to understand exactly who in their company does what, right? Which websites do they go to? Which competitors do they compare you with? If you can somehow get what your competitors say about you, and this is very, very common actually. I've seen a lot of our clients get a hold of these documents where someone that you closed, right? Someone who starts working with you, they must have done their own comparison. Be a little cheeky and ask them that, hey, you must have, we know that you've done a comparison between us and our competitors. Can you share the document with us? The headers that they use, that, hey, these are the things that we compared each of these companies on, and this is what, these are the companies we compared them with. Those will give you a lot of insights. So again, going back to the software buying journey, just look at, do they use competitor, like where do they search? You can use software like what was the name of the software? Sorry, do you remember? I'll get back to you with the name of a software which helps you understand. It's by the founder of Moz. Okay, you can use a few softwares to understand where does your audience hang out, which communities, which newsletters do they read. You can look at a lot of things like which newsletters do they read. You can look at a lot of these things, but really try and figure out, okay, what are they doing in their day, and don't look at, hey, tofu, mofu, bofu. Don't use that buying journey. That doesn't work as well when creating a strategy. Look at, okay, what are they doing on a day-to-day basis when they signed up for this? Is the exec team really making? Yeah, SparkToro. Yes, thank you, Chirayu. Yeah, SparkToro can really be helpful in helping you understand where does your audience hang out, and there's a lot of other tools as well, right? The primary thing is trying to understand what are they doing on a day-to-day basis. And some examples here that we found, right, is usually, let's say, if they're in some industries, all they want, like when you're selling to enterprise companies, right? In some industries, the person who's comparing the software is not the decision maker. So all that person is going to do is going to make a presentation, a PPT, and then that's his task. His goal is to make the best PPT ever to give to the exec team. If that is his goal, help that person make the PPT. Don't try to sell him the software, right? So little insights like this.
Yep, and you can have a PPT which says how to convince your boss to take this software.
Yep.
A pre-made PPT.
Yeah, right. Like that could be another interesting thing. Yeah, for example, if the influencer is someone else, specifically that works really well when the influencer is someone else and the buyer is someone else. And if the influencer has a strong enough need, or the user has a strong enough need, you can do things like what Akarshan said, right? How to convince your boss to buy it. Or here is on the comparison, let's say a page, you can literally add a comparison PPT doc on the page, right? There's a lot of things you can do. For example, if they're in Excel, offer them an Excel template, and then tell them that, hey, this Excel template can help you do this, but you'll end up spending these many hours to do it. And then you can sort of bring them into your funnel. So just understanding what are they doing on a day-to-day life is really, really helpful there, right? Again, we've spoken about a lot of those things, so I'll skip all of that. Who are the people in the journey? And then really understanding, what moves the needle, and how can you help them, influence them, motivate them to really purchase from you, right? Cool. What I'll do is we'll now talk about the funnel. Right? Yeah, Manoj, do you have anything to add?
No, actually, my mic got turned on.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Great. So this was just me trying to set some context, right? I'll just get we'll just get to what exactly the funnel is, what tools that we use to touch points.
I think Ishaan got stuck.
Am I stuck?
Yeah,
Now you're
now
Okay.
you are perfect.
Really sorry. Right. So there's some context. Please think of channels as touch points. Don't think of Google Ads is not a strategy. Google Ads is a touch point or LinkedIn ads is a touch point. It's not a strategy, right? Don't even think about the channel when you're running ads before you sort of understand who you're targeting, what the message is, what the goal is. That's you bribing the company to make sure that your message is communicated there easily. For example, LinkedIn, you could have posted organically and got in front of them, but it's more difficult. It's just paying for the visibility, right? Secondly, right, there's a lot of wastage, or like how you understand where to spend the money, right? There's a lot of ad wastage due to different limitations of different channels, right? For example, when you're targeting different people, right? Google Ads, you can only target based on, let's say there, what did they search, which means that you might get a lot of junk if you're selling only to enterprise markets, right? Or even if you're able to filter it out using a multi-step form or something, you still are paying for all the clicks that people from the smaller companies are making, right? You still have to pay for all of that. And if 80% of the people are from smaller companies and 20 are from larger, you are essentially paying 5 times for the same click that you would have paid otherwise. So there's a lot of wastage due to platform limitations. Similarly, there are similar wastages on every other platform that we'll speak about. Captera, G2, LinkedIn. These are some other common LinkedIn platforms, right? So there are ways to use software now to target this better, right? Now there's, for example, you can either spend 100% of your budget on the platform, let's say on Google Ads or whatever, and only use what the native targeting requires them to. Or you can move your budget to, let's say I'll use 10% of my budget to buy software which will help me better target people, right? And this is something that companies are doing increasingly. Like they're doing this really well, and some people are. And for example, there's also really expensive software that may cost somewhere around $120,000, $240,000 a year, just to help you target better. You can look these up. These are like, there's a lot of ABM softwares that help you do this, right? Now, obviously, if you need to understand where the balance lies. How do you really need to target that granularly, or is it okay and spend that much more for the visibility? Or are you okay spending, let's say, are you okay not targeting that granularly, but the cost still makes sense, right? So the funnel that ğᴏsᴜᴜ is going to show you now is, let's say, the optimal balance that we've seen for most companies, right? There's obviously caveats. We obviously don't always do the same thing, but that's the one funnel that works for most B2B SaaS companies, right? So ğᴏsᴜᴜ, over to you, maybe.
Yeah, perfect. So yes, the software buying journey is complicated and it is difficult. It is difficult to stand out in the market and have some balance between the channels. So just let me share my screen. Just let me know, guys, when it's visible.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So the whole funnel is basically divided into two parts. And so I'm defining the funnel, guys. So this will be quite like, you have to buckle up and stay with the definitions. Or if you have any question, just ask me. If you like having a difficulty getting the definition. So it is divided into the two parts. So one is the demand capture and the next one is the demand gen. Demand capture, very obvious. There is a demand in the market and we are capturing the demand. As Ishaan mentioned, someone is searching on Google or making a competitor search, or we are basically trying to prove our USP over a competitor search, or if someone is uh, having a comparison search or a product search, there's a demand and we are trying to capture the demand through the search advertisement. The next one will be the intent capture. So throughout the software buying journey. People go to marketplaces to compare you, to see where you stand, and just to have a look of the software, to see the reviews. And these marketplaces basically provides you the intent. So if someone is on your website, most of the marketplaces will give you the data, like which particular account has viewed your product pages. And this is how we basically that is why it is under the demand capture. The next one is the demand gen.
Is this clear till now? Like what
Yep.
the
Guys,
first
please
two
ask
are?
questions.
The search one is basically Google search, primarily Google Bing. There's a lot of different search engines,
Correct.
right? Which most people here would know about. The intent one is again G2 capture a review size for B2B companies, right? You can either get data on who's visiting the website and sort of retarget people or like target them in other platforms, or you can just pay the platform directly to show your review.
Can you make me I have a slide.
Yeah. So these two are clear, right? Are there any questions here?
Yeah.
Manoj, are you asking a question?
Hi, Ishaan, I have a question.
But could you help me understand the part a little better?
Your voice is unclear to me.
Yeah.
You can write in the chat box.
Could you type?
Is my voice clear to you?
Can you please type it in chat box in the chat, Manoj? We'll answer it. Yeah. Someone else also had a question, right?
Yeah, I'm Nitish. Hi. So are these the only venues wherein we would be able to capture the demand?
I will.
Okay. Your question is, are these the only venues where we can capture demand?
Yes.
Got it. So
In the last part, in the second part of the session.
Manoj, your voice is very unclear. You'll have to type it in the chat. Let me just muting for now. Okay. Right. So are these the only places where we can capture demand, right? Our question, you can definitely get, but there are other places where you can potentially capture the demand, right? They may or they may not. So these are the most common ones, right? And also for example, there are some in the other section that our question is going to show you, right? Some of them can potentially come under demand capture, but when you are trying to scale it up, right? Usually these two are the ones that you would want to start with. And if you have, if one of these work, is when you would, for example, I'll give you some other examples, right? Akarshan has already added one, right? For example, customers of competitors. So that would come, let's say, in demand gen. But then if you know, or for example, if you look at, if there are enough people who have given a negative review of your customers, you're able to make a list of those people and you're able to target them. That is still, they have a demand. They've basically mentioned that, hey, I'm looking for something new. Or if you're able to run, let's say you're able to go to a conference where the exact people that you want to target are attending, right? And
so that's what I was also thinking about the if it is, once it is feasible, about the order options, and also for example, what exactly you guys are doing right now, a webinar or a podcast might also help, right? Those might be also the possible venues one day.
Yes, the only problem with that is, for example, if we wanted to run ads to you, right, we could not, because there's like 12 people on the call. To run an ad, we need a lot more people for the platforms to let us do it.
But so when people are signing up for the event, we also would also capture the data, right? So we can promote from there.
No, it's still 20 people, right? Like, let's say 20 people.
Okay. Yeah. It is small. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So if you're, so for example, for most companies, and you can do this, by the way, you can go to, and I have done this, you can go to, let's say, large conference, let's say you you sell a CRM software, or let's say you sell a software that helps you do ABM. There are ABM conferences where people will literally tell that, hey, we are the people looking for something. And I have literally scraped lists of 10,000 people from these conferences. And you get names of people and the company. You can put in a tool like Apollo, which again Akarshan is going to maybe talk about soon, and you can get the rest of the data and you can run ads to that. So yes, it is possible, but it's not very common to do. So we have just mentioned the two most common ones.
Okay,
Correct.
got it.
Yeah, right. So like having with a perspective of targeting B2B customers and with the availability that we have, like the easy availability that we have for these tools is like very much feasible to have in this funnel. Anyone
Are there any
have
other
any
questions?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think we can go on. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and the next is the demand generation, where the prospect may or may not know the problem he's going through. He's just roaming around and have like nothing to search, or there is no demand for your product or the
Yeah,
category.
they're probably watching like rants of people on LinkedIn or cat videos on Facebook.
Correct. So like on the first go we have the signals. So signals, every software define it.
Can we
its
start
own
with account
definition.
targeting? Sorry. Let's start with account targeting, right? It's simplest.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
then no worries, I'll do that. So account targeting is like the number of accounts that we have, the ideal customer, the ideal account that we think fits into our ideal customer or into the ideal customer profile. Basically, this work is that you basically have to sit with the sales team, get the account list sorted, who basically fits into the right targeting. You do the research on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and you can use Apollo.io. Basically, it provides you the data of all those companies you can target. The next one is the signals. Signals is quite interesting, something interesting, but every software has their own definition of signals. But what the majority people perceives it, which is that if someone is basically just started to get an interest about the category of the software. So maybe someone is just reading what a CRM software is or how a CRM software can help. It's still a signal. Though there is no demand, but still he's trying to see what that particular software does. So this is
So
what
some
signal
other
is.
signal. Yeah. Can you also tell about the other signals like the hiring and?
Yeah. So if let's say if someone having a need of, or maybe if someone is like hiring maybe at a 20% growth or a 30% growth rate, that is also itself a signal that particular company has basically thriving with their hiring. So now we have that particular signal, then basically opens up a door for the opportunity to pitch software which resonate with their problem.
Yeah, so I'll just maybe add a couple of other signals, right? One is like, let's say you're selling an IT software, or you're selling a software that the IT team use, or like a biz dev team uses, right? And if a company is hiring for that, you've seen that usually, for example, for us, right? When a CMO joins a company, it's a great time to pitch to that company for us as an agency, right? We've always seen whenever a CMO joins, within the next 6 months, they want to take a large action. We know that they want to make some big moves, and then it's a very easy sell for us, right? So us, if we ever run ads, and we are going to next month, we will probably also target people who have recently hired CMOs. And tools like ޒoominfo, Slintel, Clearbit can help us get that information. Another thing that we can do, for example, is one is the hiring thing. Second is like what software are they using, right? And there's some really, really good tools that can help you get that information. For example, if there
Can
is...
I add something here?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt, Ishaan. So there's this very cool feature on Zoom Info. There is this filter called technologies, and you can
Yep.
actually, so if there is any competitor of your company, you can actually enter and get the list of the companies that are using that particular software. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
That's another one. Then if someone's recently funded, right? If you can sort of basically, you can put in filters like, hey, companies who are in this industry have these many employees and have recently gotten funding. And you can get a list of those companies and you can upload it to different platforms and run ads only to them. Those are the kind of market signals that these tools can capture and help you build an audience for, basically. Yes, you can do it on your own also, by the way. Yes, you can just go ahead, scrape it out, upload it on these platforms and run ads to it. Yeah.
Right. And even nowadays the software are so like well versed with the data. Even you can sort out like any company who has got the seed funding or the round A or the round B. So you have that detailed data available with these softwares. Any questions like on the signals or on the account targeting?
If you have any questions on the software, right, like, okay, which software to use, or like how to use it, or how am I supposed to upload it, are there integrations? If you want to get tactical, happy to help, unless it takes too much time. But yeah, happy to help even answer those tactical questions. When to use which software, if you're planning to implement it, right? But yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So, like, I wanted to know, do you like execute these through the signals in campaigns, or like is it like a daily thing?
Got it. So what Sarjeet is asking, let me just explain, like clarify that. So campaigns have a start and an end date. So you start a campaign, you run ads to it, and then it ends. When Sarjeet means it's a daily thing, there are, for example, our search ads, right? We'll never probably close them. If someone's searching for CRM, pricing is relevant to us today, it is going to be relevant to us in 3 years. So there's no point in ever shutting that ad down, right? So the question that Sarjeet has asked is, would you want to run these signal type ads in campaigns, or is this something that you keep perpetually on, right? Which is a great question. Akash, do you want to take it or should I?
Please go ahead.
Got it. Okay. So it, like every answer in marketing, it depends. But what does it depend on, right? It depends on what the signal is and what the audience size is. For example, if it's like recently funded companies and we are able to create enough audience to be able to run ads perpetually, right, then we probably will. Otherwise it gets very expensive. If the audience size, if you're able to maintain the audience size, if you're able to keep it high enough, you'll probably keep running the ads for that one audience, recently funded companies, right? If let's say it's something that, hey, we get a list of all companies who have been funded by Y Combinator, we get it once, we run ads, and once the frequency becomes too high, once let's say we've shown the ad to the audience quite a bit of times, now it's showing the ad to the same audience repeatedly, we probably will shut it down because it's probably not working anymore. Now, one trick that you can use for this specifically is that you can mix a lot of these signals. Your message gets diluted. For example, you might want to say a different thing to people who have recently get funded, or people who are recently hiring. But if you sort of combine a lot of this and find a message that works for everyone, you can potentially run these campaigns for a longer time. Longer time has benefits as well, because you can run more experiments, you can make more tweaks. The platform also gets more time to learn, and it's I don't like saying AI, but it automatically also optimizes your campaign. So it's a long answer to does that answer your question? There's the three. I give 3 scenarios.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have a question. So Can we pull all the list from here and add it as an audience list on our platforms, and then just run ads specifically targeted to them?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the short answer is yes. The long answer is so on LinkedIn it's usually easier if you have, let's say, but for in most places, right, you might not. So the caveat here is the match rates are very low. Match
Yeah,
rates
okay.
meaning the list that you uploaded, what percentage of those people are you able to find in different places. Now,
Got it.
either you can accept that, or if you do it very often, right, you probably should look at investing in a data enrichment software, and you can enrich that data with other fields. And we've seen increase up to, let's say, if on Facebook, right, if you're running the same ad on Facebook, you upload a list of, let's say, official email IDs which you usually have. If you upload that list on Facebook, your match rate is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But if you enrich it, your match rate may go up to, let's say, 60 or 70%, which is amazing. Then you're able to run ads on Facebook to these people, and others aren't even able to reach them because it's not.
Got it.
They say it's not profitable.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Again, a
Having
long and a short.
Yep. Right. Having a data enrichment tool, or like having a better data, is definitely basically multiplies to a better targeting. Any other questions?
I think we can continue now. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. And others like demand gen and others basically have the, like, every marketing team have their basically some experiments to try, right? Every marketing have their brainstorming sessions to have some experiments, or to or to have a targeting. Let's like in the previous question where someone said about the technology stack, you can have in Zoom info. If someone is using your competitor software, or using your competitor, you can target them. So again, you can target your customers, like the customers of the competitor. So all those sessions can basically, all those targeting can definitely comes under the demand generation.
Yeah, we basically got lazy and we couldn't categorize it further, so we just called it others. But yeah, there are some other things you can also do, right? But then when you're starting out, definitely just start with the stuff that usually works. Yeah.
Correct. And like going down to the funnel, we have website visit, which is very obvious because we are making them visit to our website so that we'll be able to provide more information and retarget them. But when it comes to the demand gen, it's not always that we are taking them to our website. There can be cases where we are only showing them video views, or making them just fill up a lead form. But uh, the ad platform basically provides you the capability to even retarget those views, or anyone who has just opened the form. And as soon as they just have the first
Can we
touch
spend
point.
some more time there? Like
Uh,
one thing that I really want to just maybe mention at there, right? Can
Sure.
you scroll up a little bit? Can you scroll up?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So when you look at demand capture, right, the website visit from a demand capture ad is very different from a website visit from a demand gen ad. For example, if you look at just conversion rates, right, from a website visit from a demand capture, we've seen 1%, which is also profitable. And the highest I've ever seen is around 12, 13% at a good enough volume, right? At smaller volumes, you can see 100%, but a good volume of conversion, a good volume of clicks. I've also seen conversion rates. And when I say conversion, I mean like a call scheduled, or because B2B SaaS, right, of up to 12% for these pages. Right now, that's the website visit that we're talking about in demand capture. But in demand gen, what our goals are very different here. What we are trying to do is we're trying to figure out, okay, did the right people visit the page? We can use again more software. Again, only use the number of softwares that you want. You can do it for free. For example, if you're running something like LinkedIn, right? I don't know why more people don't use this, but if you just install the free pixel that LinkedIn gives on your website, you can get data on which companies visited your website. Like it's it's pretty accurate. It's amazing. It classifies into how many, which industry are they from. It classifies what roles are they in, and this is all for free. It doesn't tell you who they exactly are, but it gives you a lot of this data for free. It will also tell you again for free what is the job seniority, or like how many people's again, how many customers they have. Like this, it gives you all of this data. It even gives you the names of the companies that have visited your website. Again,
Right.
It's not as good as using Zoom Info because it's more clear, right? It's just much more clear. But then if you're starting out and you don't want to invest in something like this, regularly look at your just LinkedIn pixel data. You look at, okay, who are the people who actually joined, who actually visited that one page, right? You won't be able to filter by campaign, so you have a separate page for your ad campaigns, and then look at your pixel data, even if you're running Google Ads. That's like one game-changing tip right there, right? But yeah, is that.
Yeah, even like you can have a differentiation based on the campaigns as well, uh, to have a better idea who visited that. Even like Ishan just wanted to have a correction. We can have a differentiation on the page as well as on the campaign level. So we have that much detailed information available.
No, page visit data.
Yep, page visit
On
data
page
and
visit, we don't get data based on campaigns, I think.
on the campaign level and on the page level. It's
Right.
available.
So when if you, let's say if you're running Google Ads, right, and then you look at page insights.
Oh, yeah, obviously that is
Yeah.
yeah, correct. I was like more of in the demand gen part.
Yeah.
Yep. Any questions on these on this
Yeah.
particular level?
No? Okay.
All right. Yep. So now we have the retargeting options that are available. So now the user has just came to our website, and now it's our job to convince that user that why he like they should choose us over other competitors, and why basically it fits into their requirement. So we have the social proof to share, we have the testimonial and the success stories to share. We have the similar, we can share the similar case studies or the ideal case situation where we fits into their requirement. We can show our ease of use, that how easy we are to work with. We can like this is the best ad for me and have worked amazingly well to the CXO level or to the decision makers. Because whenever they are investing in a software or making any investment, they really want to be proved that what is the value that I'm going to get right out of the investment I'm making. So that is the bigger game. It's a big game changer in the retargeting campaigns. And remove SaaS security vulnerability was an example for which we have just recently ran an initiative. But you can have any USP or the best USP you have over others. Yes, Ishaan, you were saying something?
That's it. Yeah. Please continue.
All right. Now you have the second and the infinity website visits, or just like now you have a lot of opportunity, but here you have to have a window like till what time you want to share or you want to show these ads to, right? Because it doesn't basically if the person has not converted, it it actually makes no sense to just showing them ad for any year. So you should have a window, or you must be having an idea that how much time it takes for a prospect to make a decision. So let's say if the buying journey is for, let's say, 3 months, then you should at least have that window with you to run basically your retargeting campaigns. And next is the second website and the infinity website visits. Then once they just gain some confidence in your software or in your product, then basically you'll start getting conversions and the call scheduled. So this is the overall funnel that has worked for us and has been working for us. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
Just please let me know.
Yeah, I have one question. So for people
Yes,
who
yes.
haven't converted after second or third visit, how do you guys target them using the marketing ad? So would you
All right.
guys still
So
follow the same retargeting concepts like social proofs, or did a case study or some of the other option, or would you guys change it maybe once you know, let's say they have visited 2 or 3 times, and you would have already known that they would have already went through the remarketing specific campaign that you guys are targeting, and what would be the next step that you would generally take?
all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ishaan.
Please answer. Then I will.
All right. So like till the time they remain in the window, they should be in your ecosystem. Because even if the person has visited, still is not, that person is not convinced, or maybe some other reason. You basically have to overcome that reason. If that person has viewed your testimonials, gone through the case studies, you have showed them your ease of use, still is not convinced, then maybe he's missing on the value demonstration
So-
or on a particular USP.
So one thing that is missing from here, right, is that this has been overly simplified. For
Correct.
example,
Correct.
the retargeting campaign, right? Let's say it's not, if you have enough visitors, right? Retargeting campaign is not like, we're not sending everyone to the same message. For example,
Yep.
people who visit a specific page, you can show them different messages. So if on the second or third visit, if they visit a different page, now they're seeing a different message by default, right? That's one way to structure this, just based on the pages that they visit, and which has worked really well for us. The second thing that you can do is that, let's say for the first 10 days show them message 1, for the next 10 days show them message 2, then show them message 3 for a month, right? That is, for example, that is the second thing that works. Now you can also do more fun stuff, but stuff I haven't seen really work ever is that you can try and create the entire buyer's journey and show them only information relevant to that place in the journey, right? For example, you can first say that, okay, first I will show people top of the funnel content. Once they read that, I'll show them the next thing. I've never seen it really work, honestly. It sounds really strategic. It sounds really good, but yeah, you could try it out. I've only tried it like 3 or 4 times, so maybe there's something I missed out. But that is not something I've seen work. The stuff that I've seen work is really, really well. Is the best thing that I've seen in retargeting is the page segmentation. So as soon as you start the retargeting campaigns on day 1, start creating the audiences, the smaller audiences. Also create a generic audience. Again, I'm going a little tactical to answer your question, but start the ads as soon as possible on the if let's say you don't have enough audience, start on the general audience, showing everyone the same thing. Once you have enough audience size for the smaller segments, start changing the messaging for each one of those segments, right? And I would start with either intent wise segmentation or product wise segmentation. Again, that's like we can take a whole different session just on retargeting and some case studies and stuff. But
Correct. Correct.
yeah.
Yes.
Hope did that answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, it does. So even I am doing most of the things that you guys doing, and I'm just comparing what you guys are doing differently compared to what I'm doing, and I'm just comparing that.
Yeah. One thing more that we've seen, right, is that, let's say when we're running ads, right, you can also use a tool, something like 솜ᴏᴜᴜ, see exactly who came, and then get someone to run a non-ad campaign on it, right? Basically a cold email, LinkedIn reach out, add them to your ABM list, right? Like basically reverse ABM. Instead of choosing the account first and then trying to reach out to them, find who actually knows about you and then start an ABM on them, right? That's another thing that you could potentially look at.
Yeah. So my strategy is almost similar to what you guys are doing, except for the SaaS security vulnerability.
Except which one? Sorry.
The removing SaaS security vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't tried
basically,
that.
Correct.
anyone like can have a dynamic field here because everyone has their own USP to like to show to their
Yeah.
customers.
Great. I think we've covered everything. Do you have any questions that we can answer? Right. I think we have 2 minutes. We cannot really cover anything else. Maybe to wrap this up, right? The first thing you would want to do is just start with demand capture. Create some projections. Look at how much can you spend on demand capture. Try and make that work before you do anything else. Everything else is more fun, sounds more strategic, but just make demand capture work first. If it does not work, if there isn't enough demand in the market, then look at everything else. Then obviously retargeting also, make it live as soon as possible. But then demand gen, even though it sounds much more strategic, it's more fun, do it after you've maxed out your demand capture. And it may be that there never was any scope for demand capture to begin with. So yeah. Well, I hope this was helpful. We'll have a couple of more sessions. We'll have a session every 2 weeks. We have one coming up on marketing analytics, taken by a company called Factors. We have a couple of other really good sessions on SEO. Another one maybe on B2B podcasting, which is taken either by our team or some of our friends at B2B SaaS companies, or something else. So just hey. Maybe to keep an eye out. I'll post about them once in a while. So every 1 week I'll be posting about those. Next week we'll have a networking session. If you come, that'll be great. So yeah, thank you for joining, and do connect with us on LinkedIn if you thought this was helpful at all. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys, for
Ishaan.
joining.
Thank you, Akarshan. It was very helpful.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.